This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Well, away they go. 2 laps of the track. And the first lap has been requested at 57:58 seconds. Heather McLean has been given the pacemaking duties. And, well, Lindsay Sharp has gone off very sharpish. Brown and Gould, you sense, will pull away. Gould has the inside track coming into the home straight. Gould then with a slightly rocked back head, looking far in front of her, but Brown coming on the outside. Brown has got the better finishing speed perhaps. Also still going well, Lindsay Sharp, but Brown against Gould. Brown and Gould shoulder to shoulder. Brown gets it on the line. 1:58.58, comfortably inside 2 minutes. And Kira Brown, well, she bided her time there. Gould certainly was the favourite.
Brown there, just encroaching on Gould, almost squeezing her in. If you watch that closely again, she moves gradually further towards the middle of the lane. Gould crowded out there and really struggling. That was a little bit questionable.
Well, we shall keep across that and see if there's an appeal. But Brown takes it, Gould in second, and Lindsay Sharp takes third with the season's best.
Thanks so much for listening, whether you're listening to us on the YouTube, on the radio, on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. Please share this interview. We have 2 people on here that have amazing stories to tell, and we always bring on great people. And I thank everybody for listening, for subscribing, for sharing this all around the radio and even on the internet. And thanks so much for that. So we have 2 people on here today that's going to be talking about a real inspirational story of how they grew up throughout life and how they've really become successful. And then we're also going to dive into some of what they do right now for their careers. So this is Andre Henry and Ciara Brown, and they are going to be talking about their new book out, and it is From Orphan to Self-Made Millionaire. Definitely go to the website, www.orphan2millionaire.com. Guys, thanks so much for coming on. Greatly appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, great. And before we even started, I told Ciara that she is a track star. And if you guys want to just look up her name on YouTube, those track clips will come up, and she was just blowing past everybody. It was like those old Looney Tunes cartoons with the Road Runner and Wile E. Coyote, and the Road Runner was just blowing past everybody, and that was Ciara. And we definitely are going to talk about track in general down the road. But I do want to get into this before we even get into that. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about, you guys in general?
I'm Andre Henry. I'm the CEO of Dream Again. We have an investment chat room with over 500 members. We got a tax business as well. Ciara got the Woman Empowerment Group. So Dream Again has different facets of items that we, give to the community, from publishing books, individual taxes, and financial literacy.
Like Rob stated before, I'm a professional track athlete for the United States. So I've been running professional for like the past.
I would say forever, because
I've been running track. I've been running track since the 6th grade. So I've been running forever, and then finally went professional after college. I was born and raised in West Philadelphia. I'm 27 years old, and this is
so now. I grew up like Upper Darby area after moving from Chester after losing my parents. I actually saw Ciara on the track because we ran track in high school. I used to see her at States, and when she raced our team, it was like the same story, like what she's been doing, just blowing past people. You was like 400 heavy then. Yeah.
Wow. It's incredible. And I'll tell you what, thinking when you said Ciara, West Philadelphia, that song, and I know this is kind of cliche, but that song, that Will Smith song, just goes right in my head from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But anyways, was Will Smith really from there, though, off the record, I guess?
Yeah. West Philly,
yeah. All right.
They got the portrait of him in the city now. Like, they got a big picture. That they painted him like sitting on the side of the building when we was riding through.
I want to talk about this, and whoever wants to answer this question, you're more than welcome to jump in. you know, the book talks about the trials that you guys went through and how it made you strong and how it made you successful in general to what you are now. Can you give the audience a little bit of a synopsis of that?
Well, growing up I lived with my mother, and I don't want to say she was a bad person, but she just didn't know how to be a mother. So we didn't really have a good relationship. And I eventually moved away from her in the 9th grade to go live with my dad, because that's where I always wanted to be anyway, growing up. And yeah, it was a tough time living with my mom. Like, living with her, we wasn't really close. It was just like, we were like, I don't know, it felt like college mates or something. Like, you just don't really know the person like that. But yeah, that's a little bit of my synopsis. I didn't have a good relationship with my mom. I eventually moved with my dad, and then eventually became pro in track and field.
Yeah, so for me, I was born in Chester. I lived there with my mom. We lived in like Section 8 housing. We got 4 brothers, 2 sisters, and our cousin used to stay with us. I mean, it was full house. It was like my mom was always working, like, so I was just used to her seeing her in different hustles. And yeah, like, she passed away when I was 8. I seen my father like one time, and I felt like just like the book, you just understand like your different stresses in life. You understand your pain points. So like when me and her talk, like, I don't know, maybe it's a common thing in our community, but we use pain points to communicate with each other. So like in the book, it's like a conversation. It's like us having a conversation with you, telling our pain points throughout, you know, early stages.
It's like, so you've been through that.
Yeah.
Oh, I can relate. I've been through something like that too.
So it's like that conversation, like, people try to avoid, you know, because we feel like pain points help make your person. Like, everything that you've been through pretty much form and play a part into your success. So we spoke on our pain points. It's like us having a normal conversation. But in the beginning, it was hard for me to open up to Sierra. And she noticed that, like, she could tell me everything that she'd been through, and it was just like, I was just quiet. So like, she used these 10 laws, and I just went chapter to chapter, just expressing myself. And then by the end, I'm like, oh, this is where I'm at now. And it's just really like it's like using the power of storytelling from pain points, or just your pain, suffering, your rebirth, creating yourself as a new individual, up to the last one, which is like love. And it just makes our dream and our aspirations manifest faster because we're working on it together.
Do you feel like that's a trait for men where it's really hard for them to open up? I see that even with myself, that I feel like as men, we're, you know, taught from the womb that you got to be strong. You got to push your feelings down. You got to suck it up.
I noticed that. Yeah, it is a struggle for men. I mean, I see that in my dad as well. But like, as women, we actually like when men open up.
Right.
Like, we want you to talk to us. We don't want to talk to a brick wall, and that's where things get frustrating. Like, we had a lot of, I'm not going to say our relationship was perfect, but we had a lot of complications because of that. Like, women want to hear you talk and open up your feeling, you know, open up and express your feelings. And I think that's what makes the relationship grow, you know? And we don't want to just like that. That's what split people apart. You're not talking. So what's the point of talking? Like, I can't even express my feelings, and you can't even express your feelings to me. So why even go further in this relationship? So I think in order to have a successful relationship, you both have to open up to each other. You know?
Can we look at the front of the book? When you look at the front of the book, there's a picture of you, Sierra, and I want you to describe that. And we're looking at that. If you're watching on YouTube, you can definitely see that. If you're not watching on a platform such as radio or audio where you can't see it, it's basically, and I'll let you even explain it. So the people that aren't watching it on video, can you explain the picture on the front of the book of you, Sierra?
So I actually did this photo shoot with the photographer in New York. His name is Cameron. And it was all about just, it was like the storyline was the girl on a train. When you're just going through a tough time, you see that a lot in New York, people or anywhere on the train. Like, you're traveling somewhere, you can't wait to get home, or you're going through something, you're just looking down, or you're just feeling depressed. And it was just like, basically in the photo was just for me to express how I was feeling at the moment. I think in 2017 or the beginning of 2018, I was having a tough time in my career in track. I wasn't running the way I wanted to. It was like I was looking for an apartment. I was like, it was just a lot going on. So I was like, my photographer was just like, express your emotions in the photo. So I was feeling sad. I was feeling mad. It was just like, this is how I was feeling. So that's the way. That's how the photo went, and we decided to put that on front of the book.
www.orphan2millionaire.com. As we keep going into the interview, you know, being born into poverty in this tough circumstances, what gave you that drive to be successful instead of what a lot of people do? And I know if I was in that circumstance, and I know a lot of people that are in those circumstances, they kind of give up. There's also, when you look, and I want you to talk about that, but also when you look at the systemic poverty in this country, where it's basically a family cycle where people can't get out, not because they don't want to get out, because they don't have the opportunities to get out. We see the schools, as far as public schools, are extremely underfunded, where the well-off white areas are getting all the money and the black and brown areas are getting shit on in plain English. So it's really sad. So you can't get people out of poverty when that is, you know, a constant thing that is going on throughout our country, and it's been going on since the country's founding. So why did you guys not give up when you could have easily give up and just running through the same cycle that's been going on for years upon years on end?
Well, from after, you know, moving away from my mom, I lived with my grandfather, my dad, and my brother. So I lived with a house full of guys, and we basically only had one bedroom and a futon. So, you know, everything I did was motivation. It was like, I want to put my family in a better place. So it was like, that's what motivated me to keep going. It's like, we all have to share this one bed. We didn't, you know, we had to eat out of cans and stuff like that. Our bathroom wasn't working. So that's what motivated me to keep going on. Is like, I didn't want my family to keep living like this. And eventually, you know, we moved, got a house in Norristown. So it's like me doing everything that I did, you know, put motivation on my family to want to do better, you know? So what about you?
Yeah, for me, I just analyzed the environments that I was in. I mean, my mother, she was a hustler. I feel like I just watched her do too much. So like, that's just one of the main drivers. I met my father once. So it's just like, I just got a different perspective after losing my mom. It was pretty much on me to make decisions. And honestly, before I even make decisions, I analyze, you know, the situation. Like you said, you know, the economic difference, like black and brown getting shit on, because it's like, you got whites, their buying power, income to buying power is like 12.6.
Right.
And then you got, that's was 12.6 trillion. And then you got blacks is like 1.6 right now. So it's like 12 times the buying power, 11 times the buying power. But in the same sentence, I can say like, you know, average around the world, people are making $2.50. So it's just like, I have an opportunity here that somebody around the world don't, you know, so they making $2.50 a day. I can make 70K a year or 34, 35K a year. And if I invest it right, I can work my way out of here. Because it's people that come from those foreign territories, come in here and work hard and change their whole family dynamic. So I just feel like I understand where I came from, and it's like my core, but I'm also understand the arena that I'm in. So it just gives me a different perspective to drive and push forward, because, you know, all I got to sacrifice is 5-10 years with good investments, you know, and then my family cycle is completely changed.
We do see a lot of evictions on the rise now. At the end of June, there's going to be a huge crisis in this country that no one's talking about. There's going to be an eviction crisis. There's going to be maybe 30 million people that are going to be evicted out of their homes if a lot of these people haven't already been evicted. That's going to obviously disrupt the housing market. We're also seeing a lot of these private equity firms buy up these houses with cash, whereas a regular person such as myself or you can't go and buy a new house because these people pay cash and and we can't even compete because we don't have that kind of money like they have. So can you talk about that, Andre? Because I know you're big in the finance world. Can
Yeah.
you talk about how that's going to be a big crisis and coming up very soon? We're almost at the end of June.
Yeah, I mean, just the environment overall, they just got artificial intelligence. It's pretty much pushing the man labor power. And it's like they're forcing people to find a way to make money. And honestly, the way the environment goes, just like you said, with the Democrats and Republican, that's like three individuals in the room, like Thomas Jefferson said, is two wolves and a sheep. And the sheep asked the two wolves what's for lunch. Obviously, it's going to be the sheep. That's just the environment. It's the aggressive environment that we're in, and they're trying to force more people to be poor and the rich get richer. Because, like I said, that 12.8, 12.6 trillion in spending power. If I got 1.6, the only thing I can focus on is the 1.6 that's spending this. Because if you got spending power of 12.6 trillion and we got 1.6. the odds is 11 times greater. So they're going to be able to come into those environments and force people out. So it's just people that's been created, like they handle all the financial instruments, got to do what's right for the people and not what's right for their pocket.
To keep going into finance, what would you tell as far as, the stock market is up right now, but we saw what happened in 2008. It goes up and down, and there's a cycle that happened back in 2000 too, where there was a dot-com boom. So with that said, what would you tell parents that, maybe they are millennials now and they're just having kids, or even millennials in general that don't have kids? Where should they be investing their money right now?
I mean, like current, I feel like they should break their payments up and dollar located on a monthly basis and find like decent growth. Me personally, I like small cap stocks. Like I found Workhorse when it was like at 80 cents and went to $30, or Blink. Yeah, Blink, I got in under $10. So I'm more of a small cap, future cash flow type of investor. I feel like everybody has an eye for investment. So like I'll listen to her perspective on what she think is good sectors because she's spending her money there. Wherever you spending your money might be a good
where do you do your research, Andre? Sorry to interrupt you. Where do you do your research to find out, like, you said something was 80 cents and then it went up to $30. So you're making a huge amount of money on that stock. But for people that don't know, because we have people on here that listen that don't even know anything about the stock market. So what would you tell them as far to, how to find the stock, or even how to buy it, all that stuff?
I would say if you have anybody interested in stocks, just ask them, like, to start that conversation, because it's like when it comes to money in general, it's always personal. So I feel like if you don't have like a financial advisor or fiduciary, just start the conversation with friends and family. See if anybody invests. Start in the room and just work your way out and just find mentors amongst it, because everybody invests different. Every investor is different. I
said, and read.
Read. Yeah, just read books. Read books.
True.
Some Ben Grant, like Buffett books, Jesse Liver. Like, just read about the individuals that was successful at it. You're gonna pick up different fundamentals, how they analyze financials if you're like in the numbers background, and just start the conversation within the room. Just where everybody's spending their money, versus buying that Apple iPhone. You could have bought Apple back when they, like 2009, and had like over 3,000% return current day. You could have found a couple dividend stocks that just pay you out. Just build the knowledge on like investing and just see what you're comfortable with. Because a lot of people will try to force you in their way of trading or a way of investing. And I feel like it's more like independent, because that's where we're going. With the Robin Hoods and all that stuff opening, like it's not really a good money market account, but people are just with the hype. So I feel like if everybody's doing it, like you should see why everybody's doing it. Like Dogecoin crypto, it's going poop right now. It's like going down. Like everybody just FOMO, fear of missing out. So they just jumping into it. Like once you understand the different types of money market accounts, like you could get a 529 plan, 100% write off for kids' education expenses. guaranteed 300% return from when they born to when they 18. You can invest in that on a monthly basis. It's guaranteed 300% return every dollar initiated, and it's the most aggressive Vanguard funds. You can get an HSA account where you can, all your health savings. So you can focus in this tax-free healthcare expenses. Like, you got to build your foundation before you try to jump into the market. I feel like if you invest in, like, you can invest in the index fund within a Roth, put 6,000 in there, that's growing tax-free. So I feel like individuals should look at what they're investing in, really understanding it and understanding their self before like just jumping into it, for sure. Because I could tell you buy Workhorse, but I've been in since 80 cents. So would that entry be best for you, or would it be a good exit for me? That's what people gotta understand. When you buy and sell, a sell can be somebody exit, a buy can be somebody entry, and it's a give and take market. So until you fully understand, like analyze it, till I show you like, look, I'm buying this at this entry point, then you should take my advice on it. And I'm still going to tell you, it's just, my educated guess on looking at the financials, the market cap share structure, and just analyzing the sector overall. And then you could go on the New York Stock Exchange website. You can go on NASDAQ. You can go on FinViz, CNBC. You can subscribe to newsletters just start seeing the information, because if you're not aware of it, you're not going to know where to look. So just all these resources, sites that's out there. Yeah.
You brought up so many things, but I'm going to try to hit on everyone in my mind that I'm thinking about right now.
Gotcha.
We hear a lot of the Biden infrastructure plan. With that said, obviously, there's a lot of talk about green jobs, green energy. We look at companies like Tesla, who are really, I feel like there's a lot of people buying Teslas more so because the prices went down. Is that an industry that you would look at and say, hey, maybe I should find some stocks in? Or would you maybe stick with oil, real estate? What are you looking at right now as far as, industries to maybe buy in, even if you don't say a specific stock?
I would say, like, sector-wise, I would look at technology, energy.
Okay.
Like, I would look up defensive like stocks, like energy, like that's dividends paying, technology. Like, find a couple dividend paying stocks just so you can have something that's paying your portfolio, is some monthly, some quarterly, and they just paying you to hold a certain amount of shares. So for every share, they give you 80 cents, for instance. So you can have a couple of those within your stocks. You can have index funds. But sector-wise, I like EV, because EV is the future. They got like Blank. I can tell you a little bit about it because I'm invested in it. It's they signed a deal with Burger King, so like at every Burger King they're gonna have an EV charging station. They closed on they was the small business of the year for like the Forbes. They was small business of the year, and then the PA facility, like where you pen and everything, they're gonna start setting up EV stations. They just signed a deal on that. So like I do deep analysis. Like, the financial statement's not going to make that much sense in EV because it's future cash flow. Right. So like that, but that's a good sector to be in. I feel like EV is going to take over energy for like the defensive stock. Like, I feel like the charging station, like Tesla is good, but like I feel like Tesla is overvalued because it ran so much. But like when competitors come in, the price is going to continue to drop because it was like the barriers of entry it was too high for competitors to compete with them. So now like that stock ran to like over 1,000 like 3 times. So if you got a stock like that, and then you have GM saying, oh, we getting on the EV board, if we got all these, Ford saying, oh, we getting on the EV board, it's going to drive Tesla price down just by barriers of entry. Like, more competitors is coming in, and it's going to raise their stock price to compete with Tesla high price stock value. So like EV is a good sector right now because like the competitors are coming in. If you find good stocks within that, you can see 1,000% return, to like up to 10,000% return just because it's future cash flow. Technology as well, because technology, something new's always coming, like the .com and the next new wave. I like LiDAR, for instance, because it's like the technology you use within like the movement of the camera of those self-driving cars.
Sierra, I want to talk about this. You talked about at the beginning of the interview that you had been running track since 6th grade. What got you into track? Was it just something that, you had your friends were doing it with? because, you know, when we think of track, you know, it is a popular sport, but when we think of sports in general, we think of basketball,
Right.
softball, you know, soccer for girls, of course, too. So what was it that made you want to run instead of do those other sports?
Well, growing up, I raced a lot of kids in the neighborhood and my cousins as well. So we always race from pole to pole. If you hear that from, you know, being in neighborhoods, you always hear of kids racing. Let's see who can get to the pole first. So that's how I knew I had some type of talent. But I didn't really know about track until I hit middle school. And believe it or not having a good relationship with my mom, she actually put me into the sport because she realized that I was fast. So I can't thank her for that, you know. So yeah, just racing kids in the neighborhood, seeing who's the fastest. That's how I got into track and field. And my mom, of course.
Oh, sorry. So moving up the ladder in track and throughout school, when did you know that, hey, this is something where I'm going to go to college and compete and I could actually go professional with this?
Well, I went to Overbrook High School and my coach was Dworsky Odom, who's currently still the head coach there. But once I realized, like I was a 400-meter runner at the time and one of the best coming out of PA. And once I started beating everybody, I was just like, I like winning. So I'm like, maybe I can go further with this. And I asked my coach because he was a former Nike athlete and he went pro. So I asked him about the whole process. You know, you got to get an agent, find a sponsor and everything. So once, you know, he was the inspiration for the whole pro athlete thing. So once I knew he was pro before in his lifetime, that inspired me to go pro, you know, after college.
So we hear a lot in sports right now with performance enhancing, whether it's steroids or something else, you know, being professional and knowing that, you know, there are people that use this. Obviously, when you're competing against them, you don't know, you know, who is using and who isn't it. How has that trained the track in general changed?
Well, when you're like one of the best athletes in the world, I could say like top 20 or 30, you get drug tested. We get drug tested a lot. So, but sometimes I don't know, some athletes get over it. I don't even know how, but there's a lot of athletes now getting caught from using steroids and stuff. And who's been banned from like Olympics, worlds and everything like that. So you don't really get away. I don't know. Like I don't drug, so I don't really know how to answer these questions. You know, I'm a clean athlete. I always get tested clean. So yeah, like you're in the testing pool. I get tested constantly, and they don't even let you know when they're on their way. They just pop up at your door, and you have to be there. So
so being in track and, you know, competing all over the world, can you tell the viewers what was your favorite meet? You know, what was your biggest accomplishment also?
Like I traveled all over the world, but one of my favorite meets was in the United States, and I didn't even win. It was in Iowa, I think. It was at nationals. I got third, and that was my first time ever running 158. And I was like, I got third running this, and that was the best meet of my life. I never got a medal. I wasn't the type of athlete who won nationals, who did all this, but that was a big accomplishment for me because to come from where I came from and all the struggles I've been through to finally step on a podium on the national level was real inspiring to me. So like to tell the viewers, you don't always have to win for it to be a best moment. Like I lost and that was the best moment of my life that I'll remember forever.
So Sierra, you mentor a lot of kids from tough backgrounds and tough beginnings in general. How do you kind of get across the message as far as, you know, getting them through these tough times? Because you went through it and everybody makes mistakes. So, you know, somebody may make a mistake. And how do you get them through all that as far as the trials and tribulations that they are going through with your input?
Just basically telling them, you know, you don't have to be perfect. I think a lot of people focus on being perfect growing up or try to hide what they've been through. Like I tell them like to express your emotions, stop hiding it, because the more you express it, the angrier you're going to be. So you don't have to be perfect. If you don't like something, tell your friend or tell your mom, tell them that, because I grew up with the closed mouth. I always hid my feelings and it just made me so angry. So I tell them like open up more and express your feelings, because you'll eventually explode if you keep everything inside of you. So just stop trying to be perfect. Tell people how you feel, and it's a lot of, it's easier on you. And yeah.
Well, I'm sure that I felt these issues growing up, and I'm sure
Right.
both of you guys have also, is, a lot of kids growing up, whether they're, guys or girls, there's a lot of image issues now for both sexes, of course, sexual identities. So I'm sure when you're mentoring these kids, they have their own issues at home. They have their own issues where they're going through at school or through their
Right.
own personalities. So, with that, and I know everything's, everybody's different. So you got to kind of be careful of how you talk to a lot of these kids in general.
Right.
How do you get across the message as far as that goes, that, they can still kind of, they're still, I guess I should say, they're still figuring out themselves.
Right.
They're still young. So, as far as identities, you're going to change as you get older.
So I will always tell myself not to compare myself to others, because not everything you see on the internet is real.
Right.
Yeah. So you get on the internet, you seeing this guy looking this buff.
Yeah.
Maybe he photoshopped the picture. You never know.
Yeah.
Like, you never seen him in person. So why are you comparing yourself to him? And then you got girls who got this or got that, maybe due to surgery. That doesn't make them less of a person. Maybe that just made them happier getting surgery, but that doesn't make you less of a person, so you got to stop comparing yourself. And that was my biggest issue growing up. I wasn't always perfect. I used to be like, well, why does she look like that? I don't look like that. Dad, is something wrong with me? He's just like, nothing. Like, you're blessed with what you have. She's blessed with what she has. So the biggest thing is just not compare yourself, and don't believe everything you see on the internet, especially Instagram. So I was like, as I tell him, I'm like, we need to stay off Instagram.
Yeah.
And a lot of relationships fell because of social media. That's another big problem in the world. Couples get to comparing themselves to other couples or what they have. I just say, don't believe everything you see on the internet. These people probably aren't happy. It's just like, let's smile for this picture really quick. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just stop comparing yourself and stop comparing yourself to things on social media.
So what's next for you, Sierra, as far as track goes?
Well, we recently found out that I'm pregnant. So yeah,
congratulations.
So I'm taking a couple months off right now, and then I'm gonna get back into training. So yeah.
Well, congratulations. Do you know if it's a boy or a girl yet?
Boy.
Oh, nice. I'm sure Andre's happy with that. Okay.
Yeah, and my sponsor. I was scared I was gonna lose my sponsorship, but they backed me 100%. They're like, you're gonna be a great person. Just focus on that right now and come back, once you're ready, once I get back. So
right. So lastly, as we end the interview, Andre, you talked a little bit about Dream Again. As we end, can you tell the viewers a little bit about that and what made you want to get involved in that?
Dream Again is basically Martin Luther King's vision made into a company. So I pretty much took his concepts and his the message behind it, and I'm working on it's just going to be like a community company. Like, we got cartoons, we did comic strips. We got the tax business, just the financial literacy for people that come from undervalued or just individuals that feel undervalued, because you can be in another community. It's not just our community per se. And it's just saying that we're all here for each other, as a community for us. And I started it just based off things I'm passionate about, just reading history, how things occurred. And I just felt like his impact had a lot, because he was for nonviolence and he still got assassinated. So that just tell you how powerful his message was, because it's individuals that put out anything, and they got that influence. So Dream Again is pretty much, it's like a community where you can just be real, be you. That's the power of it. And that was the main message of it. Because it's you're coming as you. I could never tell you be another Rob, because your words, your journey, you have a voice, and nobody could take that away. So I feel like every individual have a voice and who they are. And Dream Again is pretty much that community where you come as yourself, and we just
help each other out financially.
Help each other out as much as possible. And just stick together as a community.
Andre and Sierra, can you tell the viewers lastly what you hope the message is after they do finish this book?
Basically, to find your purpose and become a better version of yourself, and finally be able to breathe again instead of holding everything up bottle inside. So basically, you're rediscovering yourself. And
yeah, basically one of the key laws is the rebirth. You know, as you go through your trials and tribulations, like you were speaking on, the kids that's just steadily going through changes. Kids that steadily going through changes, trying to find themselves. You know, the message in the book is like, you know, no matter what, your story is going to occur to you. So just find the best of it and take the best things through your journey and make it to the best character in the future.
Well, it's a short book, so I hope everybody reads it. It's not going to take as much time, which is good. I know everybody has a short attention span nowadays.
Right.
that's me.
But regardless of that, it's a short read. It's a good read. And I think anybody, whether you've come from a impoverished background, whether you're a well-off person, can take something from the story and apply it to yourself. What I hope people get from this book is, as you said, Andre, and also Sierra, you look at these two people, you listen to this interview, you read the book, and I hope that people say, these people know the struggle. There's a lot of people in this country going through this struggle, and we need to, as you said, help everyone out and try to be the best person we can. If someone's living on the street, don't look down on that person,
Right.
because you don't know what that person's been through in their life, whether they were abused, sexually abused, whether they just, lost their job throughout COVID. You know, we don't know how these people are struggling. We shouldn't look down on people just because of one or two bad apples maybe we saw in the past, because everybody has their story, and we need to look out for each other, especially in this time where there's a huge crisis, I personally believe, in this country. And the only way we're going to get through it is together. So Andre and Sierra, I appreciate it. Again, for people that, again, want to get the book,
Cool,
www.orphan2millionaire.com. Again, Andre Henry, Sierra Brown. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate having you on today.
Thank you for having us.
Bro.